Hey Chad, John Mueller here, getting ready to do the final review of your fastest lap from February 9th. Final review being the final set of corners, and honestly, I think probably the most important set of corners for which we can find improvement in your lap time. Again, left side is your lap. We're running, you ran a 130.4 versus my right side lap running a 126.4. I think a lot of the gains that I was able to achieve in my lap times came from this section, in this segment. And this is turns 3, 2, and 1 at Harris Hill running counterclockwise. Um, just to make it clear, my lap time, your car definitely has more capability than 126. And so what I've done within here isn't at max speed. It's not shooting for a personal best. It's just a demonstration on how we can gain an additional 4 seconds out of the car for you. So that said, we'll go ahead and dive in. I want to do a quick comparison here. You can see again, coming in, exiting turn 4, I was able to get to the throttle more aggressively. That allowed me to get 2 miles an hour over you. If I was driving more aggressively, we would likely see the speed being even higher, given the capabilities of your car. But this is getting close to that turn-in point. Again, optimal line at Harris Hill, if we don't have the massive bump that we have leading into turn 3, would be to carry a more outside line. I, however, to preserve the car and avoid that bump, tend to turn in at this black mark right here. There's a patch of pavement here that's a useful turn-in point for running a slightly more conservative line that is easier on the car. So we'll take a look. We'll see that tight, hang out to that. So that's the difference between you and I in a nutshell, and we'll do a breakdown and get a little bit tighter in. So coming past here, we see that turn-in point. Both of us making a similar timing on that turn-in. It's interesting. It's a little bit overexposed in mine, so the braking marks aren't as prevalent. What you can see here, I was being a little bit conservative. You can see I'm going to the brakes a little bit earlier than you are. So I am going to give you credit. That's a really good job with the brakes. In most cars, you can begin braking when the car settles after the bump. So you come over, there's that bump, boom, and then we can start applying the braking very hard. You're doing a really good job of that. Again, I wasn't going for max time, so I was being a little bit conservative, applying the brakes a little bit earlier in there. And you can actually see you're carrying speed a little bit longer than I am into there. You're at 101 coming over that bump and then applying those brakes. It's a pretty good job. I got to give you credit. And then you see some trail braking down into here, right? You're carrying the brake as you're turning, getting out to that outside. Getting out to the outside, getting out to that right side is critical. And I want you to see it's a slight difference in line choice, but I think it's significant. So if you take a look, I'm coming out and I'm actually getting close to the edge of the track, about 10 feet prior to that turn-in cone. And that really is a turn-in cone. And what that is allowing me to do is make a less drastic or dramatic turn in. So I'm getting a slightly softer entry coming into turn 2. So just something to think about when you're driving. That target cone or that turn-in cone doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily the indication for where you need to be. It's where you need to be as you exit turn 3, if you will. It's more of an indication of where you need to be for that turn into turn 2. And so that's why I'm carrying a slightly more open, wider line coming in there and then turning in at that turn-in cone. So if you look, your turn-in for this was a little bit late. If you notice, right, like I'm already starting to guide the car across, whereas you're going a little bit too late. And so setting up and positioning that car wide prior to the turn-in cone actually gives me a little bit of an advantage here, something to think about for when you're doing this. I'm coming in also with a little bit more mid-corner, if you will, speed or entry speed. I guess if we're talking about turn two, I've got about 5 miles an hour on you there. It dips down to about 3, and then you start to see, and I'm also carrying a fairly heavy G load here because I've got that confidence in that car. Coming in, you can see the turn in. We're both at about the same point. Again, to be clear, I'm slowing this video down on the right-hand side in order to put us in the same place on the track at the same time. As you can see, as I'm turning in for turn 2 and getting tight to that apex on the left side, that throttle is going down for me. Carrying almost full throttle as I come up and over that rise, using what I need on the right-hand side here. And what's interesting too is, let's take a look. I'm looking at the difference between the G's between the two of us. So yours ramps up. I don't think it's too bad. I was wondering if, it does. Wow. All right. We're getting similar G forces through there, but I'm carrying a little bit more speed. One thing to keep in mind, right, is as you come into turn 2 with this elevation coming up, you're going to get nice grip from that front end. So you can really rely on that elevation to help that car turn. Both of us are doing a fairly good job of moving that car over to the left-hand side. One thing that's interesting is I think no, I can't even. I was going to say I might be a little bit further on the outside, but I'm just relying on the grip of the car to bring that car across the track, and get it to that left side and set up for that turn in to turn 1. Again, this is the more critical section of this turn. The exit from turn 1 onto that straightaway is really going to dictate the amount of speed that you carry down that straightaway. In a prior video, we saw that I was carrying almost 10 miles an hour more than you. A big portion of that is my commitment to the throttle here. I'm at half throttle, maybe a little bit higher than that. If I was really pushing the car, I would actually carry more throttle than that. But then also, as far as car positioning on track, take a look at where we are respectively with our with positioning ourselves relative to that apex. You can see I hit those rumble strips, and I actually tell a lot of people that's bonus points. If you can hit those rumble strips on the way by that apex, it means that you're in the proper position and you really are using all that track width on the inside. That buys me an additional foot for that track out. And then the other thing I want to call out, take a look at our hand position, right? You're getting closer. You're here, you're actually closer. I think you're a little bit closer to the track out point than I am. And if we take a look, right, so we're watching the wheel unwind. So I just want to take a look here. You're doing pretty well there. You're doing pretty well. You're getting that wheel unwound. One of the things I called you out for it in turn 6. I feel like you may not be opening the wheel quite enough as you exit that turn. The other thing that's interesting though too, and I definitely want to call this out, is use more of that track on the left-hand side. Get a little bit more confident with that as that car tracks out. Use the full track width rather than, I think you're giving up like 2 or 3 feet here. Every additional foot is an additional, it's additional space that allows you to carry more speed. And you can see that here, right? Like at 90 miles an hour at about the same place that you're at 83. So that's what's really buying me some additional speed with that, or additional speed and reducing that lap time. So coming through here, you can see I'm at almost full throttle coming up and over the crest, whereas you're at half throttle, less. And then I do give up some throttle here to help that car turn in and accelerate again. And again, I suspect, given what the G load is coming through there, I'm only seeing, and again, this is all relative, I see a quick peak of 1.14, but I believe that I could run through here with even more throttle than what we're seeing right here. So it's really just a matter of finding that confidence to carry throttle through that corner. The car is actually, you come over this rise, and the car starts to settle, and you'll get good front end grip as the car starts to settle, and you can have confidence that that car is going to stick as we come through this corner and carry good speed through there. This leads on to, or this creates a lot of speed and gains you a lot of time if you're really keeping that throttle down and letting that car run out here. It's going to turn this section on that front straightaway into a very fast section, likely exceeding 100 miles an hour, which I think I was at the entry point for turn 11. So just want to call that out. Definitely use all of the track here. So get that car down to that apex point. Really focus on that. Focus on hitting those rumble strips if you can, and that buys you space for that track out point. So overall, pretty good. Just adjusting that line slightly. Again, as I said, I want to give you credit for that that hard braking on turn entry, waiting until after that bump. That's so we see here, right, and then just enter a little bit wider, and apply that brake, and apex, and then use track width on track out. So nicely done overall. Great lap, great improvements. Again, 9 seconds on the day is awesome, especially for your first time at Harris Hill. Really proud of you and looking forward to working with you on the next round.